It's funny. Grounds is when this crazy person called Artemis called me and she's like, hey, you want to do a solo in Boston? So that's what Grounds is. I think Grounds is what's interesting to consider is that Grounds also changed Grounds a lot before it became what it is. Like it was I was very much interested in creating new work for BCA and kind of negotiating that while being an artist that is working remotely with an audience that I haven't showed for, being an outsider but not wanting to be positioned as such and trying to have an intimate conversation is all something that went into the production of Grounds. And I think that we settled for this exhibition after a lot of conversations is that it's kind of it's a platform or it's a space that allows us to expand this ground that we are continuously trying to negotiate rather than try to relay a message. It's expanding through fiction the possibility of people being with each other in person, remotely, ideologically, etc. But it's also kind of a moment for me to reflect on my work because I've been working, let's call it within the art economy or art sphere for around a decade. It's been since 2012 since I started writing the Perfumed Garden, but I never actually exhibited in a gallery space where all these objects have been together. And I think it was a great moment for me to think of the work and to think of the conversation that the work could generate as like legal grounds of the validity of my fiction, because that's essentially what I do. I make fiction and I try to make that fiction real. So grounds is also kind of not just the groundwork of the work, but also the legal ground of the possibility of other stories, of the possibility of multiplicity, of multiple truth, of multiple types of relationships, of growth. And I think that this is kind of, from my end, from the emotional end of the exhibition, that's where it's rooted. But then the content of the exhibition is something completely different. It's something about building from within a possibility of another Arab world that looks very much like the people that are in it, not the people that govern it. And I think that this is very important to negotiate because now narratives and fictions are being circulated about the Arab world, but they're fictions that are not our fictions. There are fictions that are written upon us, not from within us. And I think that this is changing. And this is where I feel politically the exhibition is important, where you are conversing with the people, with their fictions, even that they're unrealistic by any systemic form. It's about the possibility of this unrealistic content to happen just because the people want it to happen. And I think the relevance of this conversation is not just about the Arab world, it's about people now reflecting on the fact that their future, supposed future that was completely bulletproof 2 years ago, is no longer. And the fact that now we can think of other things that are completely out of this world and make them happen through these strategies. And really, it's a much longer conversation, but I think that if we're just going to situate the importance for me of doing this exhibition, it's kind of in that place.